Hello there, my name is David, and how are you doing on this lovely day? Today I'll talk about exactly how I got my paid marketing internship as someone who is studying health. If this is not the first video you've seen on this channel, there's a very good chance that you've seen this video, aka my first video. If you have seen that video, some of the content in this video may overlap a little bit, which I would like to formally apologize about. I just feel like it would be better to include more information, even if it may be a little bit redundant in one video, rather than asking new viewers to watch two. I hope you can understand and find in your precious hearts to forgive me. Now, since this video is exclusively about how I got a marketing internship when I'm studying something completely different, I'm not going to answer some of the questions you may have, including why the heck am I majoring in health, or what got me into marketing. Both of those questions will be automatically answered from my previous video, but yeah, I don't want to make this video too repetitive now. So my interest in marketing really peaked at the end of 2022. Unfortunately, as we all know, I am a health major, and changing majors to business or marketing would probably make me a 6th year before I graduate. So I thought, instead of changing majors, applying for marketing internships would be the way to go. I mean, after all, experience is what gets results, right? So during that time, I started to apply for remote marketing internships, since I'll still be a full-time student. My goal is to gain some marketing experience in the spring for a possible summer internship. Then after I graduate, no matter what degree I get, I could try to get hired by the company I did my internship with, or go for a similar role at a different company. I know, right? What a plan! So in my previous video, I mentioned that my first marketing internship was not paid, and I personally think unpaid internships can be very beneficial at first. I mean, most of the time, unpaid internship usually require a much smaller amount of time, which means you usually can do this during the college semester without much struggles. It's almost like community service, except you can actually put this on your resume. On top of that, in a lot of situations, since you're not getting paid, there will also not be a crazy amount of expectations, which means impressing your supervisor or boss and getting recommendations is not going to be nearly as difficult as for a paid internship. In fact, for paid internships, most likely you'll need to have a solid amount of knowledge and experience in the field to become successful. For unpaid internships, you really just need to show your supervisor that you have an open mind and you have a good work ethic. In other words, it is basically a free and uncompetitive opportunity for you to prove yourself and get a good recommendation. Now, just like most of you guys watching this video right now, I originally did not have a good view on unpaid internships. I thought unpaid internships are basically a loophole companies use to legally take advantage of you for some free labor, and in return you get experience. In fact, I actually applied to tons of paid marketing internships at first, like probably close to 50, and literally none of them reached out to me. Like, out of the 50, I think one of them reached out to me for an interview, and that interview was a pretty humbling experience to say the least. And that interview was for an internship that only paid like $10 an hour. Alright, I think I'm done exposing myself. Anyways, after that traumatizing experience, I started to question why I'm not getting any success. I mean, it's not like I don't have any work experience. I had a summer job last summer where I basically worked at a call center for my school, and before that I also did DoorDash before no tippers took over the platform. So I went to one of those resume reviewing websites and I copied one of the job descriptions for a marketing internship that I applied to, and I uploaded my resume to see whether or not my skill sets match. Unsurprisingly, it did not. And to that point, I realized the harsh truth that I'm clearly just not ready for a marketing internship yet. I mean, how would I be ready? I'm not studying marketing or anything related to marketing, and I really don't have a whole lot of experience directly towards marketing, outside of listening to a couple fake gurus on Instagram. So once I noticed that, I realized that I needed to get some real experience in marketing. So I started to consider unpaid internships as well, as long as they don't take a crazy amount of time. And soon enough, one of the internships I applied for reached out to me. Sadly, it was not paid, but since this opportunity was in front of me, and the person who reached out to me told me that it would not take a whole lot of time, like maybe 5 hours a week, I decided to take it. Now, for everyone who's watching this video right now, who are looking for their first internship to put on a resume, it may be a good idea to go for an unpaid one at first that doesn't require a whole lot of time. That way you can do it during the school year. So this internship is for a startup education company. My first assignment was to write a blog that helped improve the website SEO. So I went on Google Trends, searched for a couple relevant keywords, and came up with a list of keywords that I would like to focus on targeting in my blog. In fact, that was pretty much the only type of assignment I worked on throughout the internship. I think I spent about 2 to 3 hours on average working on the assignments for for this internship. Anyway, throughout my internship, I think I wrote about 8 blogs over the course of 3 months. I know it wasn't a whole lot, but again, I was not a paid intern, but I'm still really glad I took the job. Throughout those 3 months, I learned a lot about SEO and driving traffic to websites. I also got a lot better at writing content that sells, or in a more specific term, copywriting. However, this internship was not super organized and I felt like there was just no future in it long term. I really came into this internship for a professional experience that I can put on my resume, and that's exactly what I got. My boss agreed with me as well, and she really appreciated my time. She wrote me a good recommendation on LinkedIn, and she agreed to do whatever she can to recommend me if I ever need references in the future. And just like that, we mutually agreed to part ways, while keeping in touch, of course. So that was a pretty big confidence booster for me. I felt like with a solid recommendation on my profile, maybe it is time I look for paid summer internships. Yep. Once again, I underestimated the competition among the market. However, I certainly got a better interview rate compared to before. I think I got like 2 interviews for paid summer internships after applying to like 30. One of the companies ghosted me right after the interview for some reason, probably because the interview didn't go super well. The second company I interviewed for actually told me that they liked what they heard, but they informed me that unfortunately they were over the budget and was not able to offer me any form of financial compensation. And they asked if I was still interested. Now this really pissed me off and I felt pretty disrespected. I mean, this internship only paid about $13 an hour and you're telling me that you cannot pay me but you can pay other interns? I find that ridiculously hard to believe. So no, of course I did not take that opportunity and I respectfully told them to fuck off. I'm just kidding, I did not actually F them off, but trust me, I was pretty tempted to. And guys, trust me, no matter how desperate you are for a job or internship, if you feel disrespected or unfairly treated before even accepting your role, do not accept this role. I mean, if you already feel disrespected when recruiters are supposed to get you excited for this role, imagine how you'd be treated when you're working in this role. Trust me, opportunities like this come and go, but your experiences will stay with you for a very, very long time. And I think the biggest favor you can do yourself is to find a job at a company that at least values or respects you. Anyways, while applying for summer internships, I actually came across another marketing internship that would last through the spring. This one was also unfortunately unpaid. However, this one's actually for a startup technology company that involved blockchain. And since my coursework did not seem to be super busy that semester, I decided to pursue it and learn as much as I possibly can about blockchain technology. The person who owned this blockchain technology startup actually already had 2 previous exits. And right from the moment he shared me his background and plan, it really felt like a match made in heaven. I mean, like just about every other young adult who is just starting out in the exciting yet harsh real world, building up and growing a business is a future dream of mine. And after hearing his story, I feel like he could be a great person to connect for future mentorship. And this is something else I recommend every one of you guys to keep in mind when looking for internships. Beyond making sure that your supervisor or boss respects you, try to make sure that your supervisor or boss could be a future mentor for you to fulfill your future dreams. So this internship has been a phenomenal experience so far. Not only did I have the opportunity to express my creative side, but I also learned a lot more about marketing strategies for startups. And on top of all this unpaid internship can roll into a paid summer internship or a summer job, which is obviously great news because that kind of is what my original plan is. And if I can't find anything better, this would be a great option. This is where things came for the better. Before I actually applied for my internship at the blockchain technology company, I actually applied for a paid account management internship at an advertising agency. And a little while ago, they reached out and asked if I was interested in an interview. I happily said yes. Then the interview happened. Since interviewing is a pretty big part of the process of getting an internship, I thought I would share my personal experience with this particular interview and just give some advice. Now, I know I'm going to address this multiple times in this video, but if you want a video that talks about 10 common interview questions, I made a video previously about it, and the link's in the description. So before this interview, I initially thought I was going to be asked a lot about my experiences, how I thought about the company's portfolio, and some other typical interview questions like, tell me about yourself. So the night before the interview, I did a lot of research on the company's portfolio, the company's mission, and the company's core values. And I wrote my own responses for some of the common interview questions. Again, I made a video of the 10 common interview questions I often hear, and it's in the description. During my interview, surprisingly, I was actually not asked a whole lot about the company or my skills, but more so about my personal dreams, how I work with people, and basically a lot of practical skills, as well as some general marketing knowledge as well. So the first question was, of course, the typical first interview question. Tell me about yourself. And I can almost promise you that this question will pop up at the beginning of every job interview you attend. And I know rhetorical questions like this can be kind of challenging, especially if you're imprompting it. So make sure you have a well-written response, written or memorized before this interview. I was also asked a lot about how I manage my time and collaborated with others. Unfortunately, this interview was a good minute ago, so I couldn't remember everything that was asked. But what I would say is expect questions about how you work as a team, how you manage your time. And when you're asked these types of questions, just be honest, because these types of questions do not really have right or wrong answers to them. Try to answer these questions with an open mind, as well as in consideration of what the recruiter wants to hear, without sounding cocky or desperate. You do not have to be fully honest, but if you're lying, like for example, you say that you'll do all of your teammates' work if they have a hard time, I think a recruiter can tell that you're lying and you're trying way too hard to impress them and you're probably not going to get the job. Lastly, I remember I was asked about some general marketing knowledge. Now, since this interview is for an internship, none of the questions were particularly challenging. One of the questions I remember that was asked was, what is your favorite social media platform for marketing purposes? And I said Instagram. I'm sorry, YouTube. I love you, but I just think it's a lot easier to go on Instagram. And I didn't say TikTok for a pretty good reason. Another question I was asked was, what social media platform do you think would be the best to promote company XYZ? I'm not gonna say which company this is because it is a pretty well-known company, and if I disclose it, I fear some intelligent detective watching this video will find out where I got my internship at, which I would rather not disclose. I remember I said I wanted to pick two. Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is great for visual content and Twitter is great for generating attention through words. So those are the types of questions I was asked. Like I mentioned earlier, most of them were personal questions and about my soft skills, and there were a few technical questions, but a lot less than I expected. So this is what I think you should expect for entry-level marketing internship or job interviews. Now obviously, if you get an interview from a Fortune 500 company for a marketing internship, there will probably be a lot more technical questions and probably multiple interviews. But regardless of what questions you may be asked, here's one thing to keep in mind. You got an interview because they liked what they saw on your resume and application. The purpose of the interview is for the recruiter to meet you either personally or virtually. So as long as you make a good impression and show that you're confident while having a solid background without showing any clear red flags, the odds of you landing this job will be in your favor. Anyways, after the interview, I sent a thank you email to the recruiter for giving me this opportunity, which I know may not change the odds of me getting the job, but it's still a good thing to do. Around a week later, I got the exciting news that I got the internship. This internship will be starting at the beginning of June and will end at the beginning of August. I'll be working 2 days a week in the office, 2 days remotely, and Fridays I get off. I am so excited to see what I can accomplish this summer. Anyways, that pretty much concludes my story on how I got this paid marketing internship with a completely different educational background. I hope I gave some level of insight on ways to start a career in a different path than your background. Thank you guys for watching. Keep doing what you love, and I'll see you guys next time.